Okay, in our first video we learned that the absolute value is the distance from 0. In other words, it's just the value of the number without the sign in it. So if you have like absolute value of -5, the negative just goes away and it becomes a 5. Absolute value of 3 is already positive, so it's just 3. Absolute value of -3, the negative goes away, it becomes a positive 3. Okay, so we got that. Now we're going to graph it. So what this looks like, so the basic absolute value equation looks like this. Y equals absolute value of x. Now we could also say f of x equals absolute value of x. F of x is just another way of writing y. It's the same thing. So f of x equals absolute value of x. If we want to graph that, we can make a t-chart, or our little xy table. So let's make an xy table. In a few minutes you won't have to do that because you'll know the basic shape and we'll just fill it in. But for right now we don't know that yet, so we're going to make us a table. When in doubt, always make a t-chart. So we have x, and then we have y equals absolute value of x. So if you have -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3, those are your x values. If we plug those in, then over here we're going to have absolute value of -3, so that's just a positive 3. We're going to have absolute value of -2, that's just a positive 2. Absolute value of -1 is just a 1. Absolute value of 0, 0 has no sign, so it's just going to stay the same, so that's just going to be 0. Absolute value of +1 equals +1. Absolute value of +2 equals 2. Absolute value of +3 equals 3. So then our coordinate pairs, then if we wanted to write it that way, we have -3, +3. This is your x and your y, of course. You have -2, +2. -1, +1. 0, 0. That's our origin, of course. We have 1, 1. We have 2, 2. And we have 3, 3. Okay, so let's put that on a chart. So here's our y-axis. I'm going to move this over so it's on one of our little lines so that it makes it easier to see. Okay, there we go. This is why I love my iPad. Then I'm going to draw my x-axis. I was always in favor of Androids until I saw that the iPad could do this, and then, yeah, so now I have an iPad. Okay, so we have -3, +3, so we go 1, 2, 3 to the left, 1, 2, 3 up, so we put our point right here. Then we have -2, +2, so we go 1, 2 to the left, 1, 2 up, we have a point. -1, +1, we have a point, 1 to the left, 1 up. We have a point at 0, 0. We have a point at right 1, up 1. Right 2, up 2. Right 3, up 3. I think you could kind of see where this is going. This is turning into a V. V for value. Yay! Ta-da! That's our absolute value. That's what it looks like. This is the basic absolute value function. So when we say, when something's like as basic as it'll go, so in this case it's y equals absolute value of x, we call that the parent function. So this is the absolute value parent function. Absolute value parent function. We call it a parent function because from this function we can make all kind of baby functions. Not those kind of baby functions. You could have something like, you could have y equals absolute value of x plus 3 minus 2. That would be a function. It has an absolute value. So that means the absolute value of x would be its parent function, but this is now a different function made from our parent function. Okay, but this right here is just our basic graph of absolute value. Let's look at something else a little bit interesting. You could pause this if you want to look this over and let it sink in a minute, and then just pick back up when you're ready. Okay, let's see. Let me draw us a little coordinate line again. Let's look at this and compare it to a regular line. So a long time ago, so if we had the line y equals x, well, this, if we look at our generic equation of a line, that's like our y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope, b is our intercept. For y equals x, we have a slope of 1, so m equals 1. We're not adding anything, so our intercept is a 0. So our basic line is just this. We have a point at 0, and then we're going to go over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, and let me draw this line. So this line's going to look like this. That's a basic line, right? But now let's look at absolute value. We're going to compare the two. So if we have absolute value, and I'm going to put it in green so we can see the difference. So absolute value, y equals absolute value of x. We said that looked like a V. So like taking our graph from before, we said that if you went -1, our y would be a +1. If we went -2, our y would be a +2. -3, our y would be a +3. So we had a line down like this. But then starting from 0 again, then our x's and y's are going to be the same. Check this out. This is a very interesting thing. So everything on the right side, so going this way, all of these line up with our line. Notice our absolute value, like y equals absolute value of x, is the same as y equals x. On the left side, it's not. It's like it's reflected. So check this out. It's like we put it on a mirror. So notice how when your x's are negative, everything flips up to be a positive. So absolute value then takes anything that's negative and it just flips it up to make positive. So that's just an interesting thing. We're going to talk more about that later, but this is just your basic graphing. Your basic absolute value of x is just this b with the point right here at the origin. So we're going to learn more about this in class.